It's
That's
got me sideways.
that's indicative for the general nature of our show, actually. So
Yeah, I definitely take this thing sideways.
yeah,
I
we
see we
can't
got
have this.
ABA in here.
We can't have anything nice. So
We can't.
at all, ever. This is
Max Lab, Mr. Carey, welcome, welcome. Roy, welcome.
AVA's here.
Jessica,
First
good
here.
morning.
So
Mary, good morning. Mr. Krabby, Tim, welcome, welcome.
just want to remind everybody this is Veteran Nation Live, and TC is here.
Yes.
This is not a Hales stream. We will not be talking about the Hales. We will not be discussing the Hales in the chat. I don't want to hear anything about the Hales. You guys have all your other streams for that.
Yeah, this is just me and TC. This is our normal show. We do it.
This is the nature of Veteran Nation. So I'm being an asshole right now.
If you can't be an ass, what good is being a veteran? That's the benefit of it. You don't have to care about what anyone thinks.
And while we're at it, we're doing an experiment over on my daily chicken stream. We're in landscape mode, and nobody's watching.
They all came here.
Yeah, well, yeah, probably. Well, that when you go landscape mode, you don't get pushed into the.
Oh yeah, they're
the
not gonna
short speed and
promote you and.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's okay because we'll be before we leave. We'll hype it up and tell everyone to go over there and watch it for a little bit.
Yeah. So, do you notice the name change?
Oh, you're media now.
Yeah. So.
All right, nice.
Multiple platforms. So, I'm probably going to end up biting the bullet and paying to stream to Rumble when I'm streaming other places. So.
Rumble's I see the benefits of Rumble. It just doesn't interact with this. So like right now if I'm not at my computer, I'm not restreaming on Rumble. So but I do like that Rumble monetizes you very quickly. I think that's good. It's
Like
very
from day one, the minute you start putting content out, they start advertising advertising on your
yeah,
streams and stuff. You don't really get to pick your revenue streams there.
true.
And
But it's more creator centric than YouTube and a lot of these others.
yeah. Good morning. And by the way, everybody, good morning and good afternoon, good evening. So I'm sorry. I'm having an existential crisis.
We have a lot of people from all over the world. I saw we have one person from the UK in here right now. We normally get our Aussies in here too. Yeah, Leslie is from the UK, so welcome, welcome.
Lil
For those,
Lou's here. She's from the UK.
yeah, yeah, uh, yeah. We got Anna in here. We got who else did we? Iron Rabbit, um, Victoria, Shinemesis, uh, Surind, Patty.
I don't know where it was. Is it Surind or Surindi? Victoria Hawk loves the Freedom Flock. Yeah, they're coming for the birds, people. They are coming.
You
Like
heard it here
literally.
first, ladies and gentlemen. His show is for the birds.
Yes, indeed. So, yeah, they're.
I
Go ahead.
Oh, the AVA asked about the viewer map. I haven't updated in a lot, but I do have a whole list, so I do have to do a couple videos. It'll take me at least 2 videos to get all the updates.
Oh, our viewer map. Yeah.
Surindi, that's how you pronounce it.
Surindi. I was right.
Slug is in here with his dino nuggies.
Butt nuggets. I had some
Um,
somebody asked me, like, with the prices of eggs going up all over the country, like here, even in the little town that I live in, our little local grocery store, which is of course is always more expensive than everything else. Well, you know, Quick Trip because you used to live in Minnesota, so you're familiar with the
Very
Zeitlos or
familiar.
the Quick Trips. Um, they're
Ooh,
expanding.
Carnival.
Um, they're expanding. They moved into Iowa now too, but they had to go by Quick Star because there was already a Quick Trip in Iowa, and they had a trademark dispute, and the Zeitlos decided not to fight it, so they just changed it to Quick Start. But yeah, anyway, even with the Quick Trip here in town, which is not just a gas station, you know, they're kind of a all in one stop and a little bit more than a convenience store, but you know, not your like run of the mill, you know, Super America or Circle K kind of like, I don't want to touch anything kind of store. They're not like
Mhm.
that, but their eggs are going up. But our little grocery store here in town, um, the eggs are at already over $6 a dozen in just a little town in southeast Minnesota,
Wow.
and um, they're climbing. They had them; they were 8, I think. Somebody told me $8 at Costco in Rochester the other day, and I know there are places in Cali where they're $10 to $16 depending on where you are, and that's just for your regular, you know, off the shelf farm factory farm eggs.
Yep.
And so somebody's like, "So I suppose you're going to be jacking your prices up?" And I'm like, "No." Like, when I do have
No,
eggs to
but
sell, I'm gonna continue to sell them at $3 a dozen.
you got a nice little side business going there. In fact, I was talking with a couple people the other day about passive income, creating wealth and stuff like that. And yeah, that's a great way of, for the most part, passive income. Yeah, you got to feed the chickens, but
Well,
you
the
know,
the nice thing is I've really cut down on the amount of food that I have to buy for them. I would because I buy them layer pellets, and then I buy scratch corn and, oyster shell, but I've stretched those out, even in the winter because I feed them literally everything out of the house that we don't eat. Everything. I mean, there's some, you know, like I don't give them avocado pits and I don't give them avocado skins and I don't give them whole onions. But I can't, there's nothing they can't eat. And if there's something that they don't like or isn't good for them, they're really good about like avoiding it. Very rarely
mhm.
will the backyard chickens eat something that's not good for them. Except for styrofoam. I don't, it's like a marine in crayons, really. It's, I, you can't stop them. They just do it. So, but
Someone said
yeah.
they were trying to be a smartass about the election. They're like, "See, people stop talking about the price of groceries." I'm like, no, they haven't. It's just
No.
not. There's no reason to like publicly post about it anymore.
Well, not I think I think there's a reality of hype that when your character, and I say character because, you know, it's a game. We exist in um oh, yeah, right. Oh, Anna James. Yeah, $22 bag of feed lasts 4 weeks easily. I easily. You know, there again, depending on how much you give them table scraps and leftover stuff out of the fridge, and they love leftover popcorn. I bring leftover popcorn home from work. We have a popcorn machine. I don't know why. Uh, but yeah, they get the leftover pop. It's like a thing now. People at work will like package up the popcorn and hand it to me. Hey, it's for the girls. Got the coworkers are in on it. Um, Lil Lou's over on my stream and here commenting. Thanks, Lou. Love you, babe. Um, but what was I? Oh, the talking about groceries. It's everybody talks about it on both sides of the aisle. Both
Mhm.
all the NPCs talk about the PCs leading up to, you know, the big boss battle on election day. And then afterwards, like, the narrative changes to, oh, everything is going to get better now. And I'm just like, one, nothing has gotten better since November 5th in the United States. Nothing at all has changed. Not one damn thing has changed. In fact, if anything, we've gotten even more divided. And I think that's going to probably a really good segue for us to, um, shift to what you and I were talking about earlier in the week, and what we really want to talk about here. So some of you are not going to like like the tone today, but grocery prices aren't going to just fall in 2 weeks just because Donald Trump ascends to the throne. And that's really how people are treating it, that the king has arrived, and we no longer have an evil king. You and I've told you this story before, that in 2016 I voted Constitutional Party for president. Um, and it was 2020 when I switched and voted for Trump, and I did vote for Trump in 2024. A lot of people are shocked because of how critical I am of him, and I'm like, that says so much about the mindset. Like, you can't vote for somebody and then say critical things about him afterwards, because then you're criticizing yourself. And
Mhm.
I'm like, no. Like, you could vote for somebody and still be critical of them. In fact, you need to be able to vote for people and be critical of them.
And I follow a lot of the polls and stuff. And what's interesting about that is you are the demographic that put Trump way over the top. Men, working class men who didn't vote for him in 2020 or didn't vote at all in 2020. That was the biggest group who came out and voted for him this time.
Yeah, and it was because I still, I will talk about people compromising their principles. And it, I didn't I did not see it as a compromising of my principles. It was just there was no other place for me to go. Even the
Mhm.
Libertarian Party, the candidate that was ultimately conned his way into, and I think the Libertarian Party handles their ascendancy to the presidential candidacy better than any other party. The problem is that um, the way the Libertarian Party National Committee handles it is it is rife for uh, ne'er do wells, because most of the libertarians who would have voted for Michael Rectenwald this year to get the nomination had jobs to get back to, where everybody that supported uh, Chase Oliver didn't have jobs, so they could hang out until 2 o'clock in the morning on Monday, when hours after the convention was supposed to be over, and ended up pulling it off for Chase Oliver, who then was completely, like, virtually abandoned by the rest of the party, who were like, "Are you kidding me, you scuzz?" And and I think there's a fair amount of criticism of the Libertarian Party that can be leveled um, from people within the party as well as outside.
Mhm.
But I didn't. I just felt like, on principle, there was no other place for me to turn. But I also think it lends a certain amount of credence to my criticism. Don't work too hard today, Anna. It's Saturday. Uh, but when you look around at the nature of politics, there's just there's just no you don't want a type of president or a presidency where your guy gets into office, and on the day he gets into office, he could just start making these fiat decisions, these unilateral decisions that absolutely impact your day-to-day life. You don't like That's literally, and I know, Skipper, we've talked about this for years now. That's literally the last damn thing you want. Like,
Mhm.
you, you might as well have a king then.
Yeah.
which
Yep.
is exactly what the founding fathers warned us against. Both
Hmm.
the Federalists and the Anti-Federalists, like, that's the last thing we want. It was just the Anti-Federalists were telling the Federalists, the Constitution you're giving us, by the way, while it's good on its face, is going to lead to exactly the thing that we're dealing with in the United States today, which is a strong central government that has pissed all over the sovereignty of the individual states and the
Yep.
individual, and has led to an imperialistic presidency
Hmm.
where we do end up with a uh, for lack of better terminology, a king
Hmm.
that the people just happen to get to vote for, which is, like a scene right out of Monty Python's Search for the Holy Grail. I am King Arthur. King, I don't remember voting for you. You don't vote for the king, you silly dolt. Well, who made
We
you
are an
king?
autonomous collective.
Who who made you king? The lady in the lake. So some wet tart in the water hands you a sword, and you think you get to ride around just pronouncing yourself king and ruling over people. You know,
Now you're seeing the violence inherent in the system.
help, help! I'm being oppressed. So
uh,
then, to tie that in is like your grocery prices aren't gonna fall, folks. They're
yeah.
they're not they're not gonna fall just because your guy. I need to change the filter on my light. It's way too white. It makes me look washed out.
No, you're
Um,
just from Minnesota.
no, I have a lot more color. I'm like look at that. I actually have color. That light was just way too. Um, I don't know why I'm worried about it. Half the time you do streams and nobody's got their video feed on anyway.
I mean, some people just don't want to be on video, and I get it. I'm like, okay, whatever. Doesn't bother me. It's
Um,
just this is only going to get so good.
yeah, no, I know that feeling. Um, we must be on way too early for Georgie. She said she wanted to listen in on our conversation, but I bet she's not out of bed yet.
I did text her, letting her know that we were going live. I don't know, Georgie Coop. I do see Slug in here,
Yeah.
um, and DJ Radis. So I know people got the message.
I don't think Slug ever sleeps, honestly. So, but I
He's
mean,
young. He can do that.
slugs don't sleep. They just move very slow.
I was on Reddit this morning, and I rarely ever go on Reddit. I left Reddit like in 2015, around there.
Did you rage
But
quit
so
Reddit?
it just it was so it got exhausting dealing with all these people and all their issues. It just was like they'd taken down subs that I legitimately enjoyed being in. And it was like it would always be like a niche group who would get it taken down. And I was like, why do I want to be a part of this? This is it's too much tribalism. So I left, but today it
So
asked.
instead, you joined Twitter and Facebook.
Oh, I was already on Twitter and Facebook, and I've never liked Facebook. I just was on Facebook to keep in touch with people, like veterans that I'd served with, and that's really the only reason I stay on Facebook. Um, but yeah, they were asking on Reddit, what's your not your favorite uh, podcast, but what's the what's your in one that you enjoy? And I threw Slug in there. Try to get him a little bit of love.
Really, Slug? Do you hear that? He threw you in there to give you some love. Like, sounds more like a
The
dogfight ring, but
the people on Reddit, they definitely are Slug's demographic.
that's,
So I hope they find him.
I don't know if that's a compliment or not.
Well, they're his age, you know. They're young people starting to become professionals.
Aw, did you hear that, Slug? He called you a professional. Um,
He had a good video yesterday of what is a journalist.
Oh yeah, I put that on my watch later list, but I haven't had a chance to watch it later.
Yeah, I watched a little bit of it. We were doing family stuff, so it was like, it's chaos in this house.
You must be at your. Are you at your brother's? Your
Uh,
or folk?
my whole family is here, with the exception of my older brother. He lives a few miles down the road, but I'm at my younger brother's house. When I come out here in the summer, we're always at my parents' house because they have the lake house, but it's cold, so we're at my brother's.
The lake house is just like they have a lake house, or they live in a house on the lake. Well, not, you have to be careful how you say that because people will take that literally. They live on the shore of the lake,
Yes,
or do they have a
yes.
separate house at the lake?
No, they live there full time, but they actually do kind of split their time with my brother's house because my brother's got kids, so
What
they're
lake are
here
they on?
helping. Buckeye Lake.
Hmm.
Yep.
Mom and dad's
The,
lake. Mom and dad is lake people.
they are now. Like, there's not a lot of lakes in Ohio, if you're not on Lake Erie.
Yeah.
But and we do have Sharon, who's in Marblehead. She lives right up there near Lake Erie. But yeah, there's not a lot of small lakes in Ohio. There's a lot of ponds, a lot of people with ponds. But yeah, they just happened to buy several years ago, when Buckeye Lake, they had drained it because it's got a dam on the one end, and they reinforced the dam. While that was all happening, my parents bought it, and then the dam was fixed and the lake came back. And yeah, now I think you guys have seen some of the videos of us taking the boat out and having fun.
Um. Yeah.
It's now
So,
getting to be the hoity-toity place to be.
well, I mean that's right in your wheelhouse, hoity toity. Um, I'm gonna send you
Package bomb.
twice. I'm sending you a 57-second video in
Okay.
Messenger. I want you to pull that up and play that real quick. And while you,
Ooh, I've never done it on mobile. Let's try. Let's see if we can do this.
I will. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go warm up my coffee. I'll be right back. Everybody, look at my bookshelf.
Let's see. Okay. Okay. Oh, did this mess it up? Can you guys hear me okay? Give me a quick thumbs up if you can hear me. Cause yeah, I never done this on mobile.
Will it not work for you on mobile? I can. I might be able to do it from my end.
Okay, it's processing, so we'll get to it here, just as soon as it gives me the
Okay.
thumbs up here.
So
Things are going
Okay,
to
there
have
we
to
go.
change just after
I want
9/11.
you guys to
I remember a time when I could run from my car to the gate to catch a flight. After 9/11, we realized we need to do things very, very differently so that we can all arrive at our destination safely. I think you're going to see a lot of things change in the city of New Orleans. And actually, I think you're going to see a lot of things change in this country in terms of how we handle large-scale events, where there is pedestrian access and where vehicles are allowed. I think you're going to see things change in terms of the level of surveillance that we have in this country. We've pushed back against some of that, but when you look at places like the UK and other European places where CCTV is very commonplace and used proactively so that it can look for signs or indications of an attack, I think you're going to start seeing those things in this city because I'm going to be pushing for it.
Anybody listen to that? Did you guys did you hear that? That's
Okay, I'm
the
trying to
that
remove the video now.
you removed us. Um, that's the district attorney of.
There
Oh,
we go.
good lord, yeah.
And we lost our overlay. Put the overlay back. There we go.
That was the district attorney of New Orleans. Nolans.
You there?
I'm here. Are you here?
Can you hear me okay?
I hear you fine. Can you hear?
Uh,
What are you doing? What are you doing? Are you there, Skipper?
can TC hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Okay, I can see you talking. I can't hear you talking.
Can anybody hear me? If you can hear me,
There we go.
all right. Phew. This is why we don't do this while Skipper's on the road very often. Um, that was the district attorney of New Orleans talking about. If you listen carefully, he wasn't just talking about New Orleans. He was talking. He said, "Don't no 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 not that one. No there. Good lord. Don't ever."
I don't know why it moved away from my thing, but oh well.
Yeah, they're not. He wasn't just talking about New Orleans. He said in there, as a country, we're gonna have to talk about these things.
Mhm.
I'll put that clip up on my YouTube just as a short if people want to hear it. Folks, January 1st of 2025. Everybody's aware of what happened here in the U.S. Even if you live in other countries, everybody's aware of what happened. Some people have celebrated it, just like every time something bad happens to the U.S. Skipper knows I was warning people about this. I've been warning people about this for last several years. Skipper's talked about it on his own as well, that things are coming. The thing that bothers me about what happened on Wednesday was the immediate your puppy trying to tell you something?
The neighbor's dog is barking, so she's gonna start barking.
So she is trying to tell you something. The thing that bothers me about it is that immediately following the announcement of the news of what happened in New Orleans,
Hold on, I'll get her out of here.
you're fine. The people who supported Donald Trump and Donald Trump themselves all came out and said we have to close the borders. Everybody came out and said we have to close the borders. This is why we need to close the borders. This is why we've got to shut down illegal immigration. Donald Trump said it immediately following the attack in New Orleans and said that he was going to, he was going to make sure things like this didn't happen anymore because he was going to shut down the borders. And then news breaks that Trump Tower was hit in Las Vegas, which you've been there, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. AVA made it to Dutch Brothers. He's contagious too, folks. He's killing old people left and right out there in Cali. But then news begins to break that then news begins to break that New Orleans wasn't conducted by a foreign national who had entered the United States illegally. And then news breaks that it was an American citizen, born and raised. And if you listen to him, there are video clips of him. He sounds like he's Texas. He's from Texas. You could tell the man was raised in Texas. He's an American veteran. No, guess what? Then news breaks that an American veteran is the one who blew up a Cybertruck in Las Vegas. And immediately people are now talking about we're going to curtail these things. We're going to ramp up surveillance. We're going to, we have to do more. And I started talking about Patriot Act 2.0, folks. They're beating the war drum of the Muslim angle of New Orleans. And they're beating the war drum of individual radicalized lone wolf actors in Las Vegas. And now people are pointing at our fellow veteran Sean Ryan and saying that Sean Ryan had this intel analyst on several months ago where she warned there are at least 1,000 Al-Qaeda and ISIS operatives operating in the United States right now. And everybody is talking about how prescient that was. And now Sean Ryan had a former warrant officer who apparently had contact with the individual involved in the Las Vegas bombing. And said that this guy emailed him, a week or two prior to the event. You guys scared Skipper away. And Skipper had to go off screen to deal with somebody.
No, I was actually just scrolling through the chat and I don't know what happened.
What we're dealing with, folks, is quite honestly, we're being played.
Mm-hmm.
I know that people don't want to hear that. It probably makes people really mad to hear me say this, but they're targeting a certain segment of society, and they're not targeting the right or the left. Excuse me. The left will do whatever they need to do to surveil you more. But they're targeting the normal everyday American who tends to vote to the right, who tends to vote Republican. And it's they need you on board with the next round of see something, say something. But they also want you afraid at all times. And that's what this is about. And if you think for a minute that either one of these United States military veterans, and one of them wasn't even a vet, he was active duty.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you think an active duty special forces intel officer comes home from Germany on leave for Christmas, just right after or right before the Magdeburg attack, by the way, you think that guy comes home to his wife and newborn child and decides that his way of celebrating coming home from Germany after being away from his family is to, and they're trying to make this about PTSD.
Yeah, no.
Folks, veterans with PTSD do not delete themselves like that.
This is going to be just like the Las Vegas shooting, where they're not going to know what the motive was behind it. They're not going to know how we got the money to do it. It'll be this big mystery, but yet when there's other stuff happening, they know everything about the here's this shooter, and we know everything about them because they were doing nothing but posting online about it prior to.
Well, but that's the problem, is now Sean Ryan had this former warrant officer on saying that he's got the manifesto for the special forces guy. And Sean Ryan had him on for 3 hours yesterday, and I started to listen to some of it last night. And um, I like Sean. I do. I mean,
Mhm.
like, I'm never gonna have his platform. Like, that dude is, he's ascended. But he's being used.
Mhm.
The
Yeah,
intel analyst that he had on a couple of months ago was put in there to give him the information about these ISIS and Al Qaeda operatives, to have that information on the ready, so that when January 1st happened with this, with this guy in New Orleans, everybody could go, look, Sean had warned us on his show 2 months ago, and we've got to do something. And here's why: Sean is a dissonant voice. Sean talks about accountability, much like I do, much like Skipper does with some of his stuff. They sent that gal to Sean. She's a plant. She's an absolute freaking plant.
Mhm.
To get that information into dissonant ears, into the ears of people who don't listen to the mainstream media, who want whistleblowers. That's all she was. Shit, I don't care how. There's just no way. There's
Mhm.
absolutely no way you can see it as anything other than that when you step back and take a 10,000-foot view of it, instead of being, playing into the, oh crap, the terrorists are here and they're going to kill us. And now this other guy comes out, not even a week, like just a day after this attack, with information that says, I have the manifesto. Look, jackass, if you've had this and you now think it's a manifesto, there was nothing in this email that this guy sent you 2 weeks ago
That
that had you concerned. Are you kidding
I
me?
I read part of it, of what was posted, and it was all about what China's doing. It wasn't anything about what this guy's grievances were. So it immediately makes me suspect. Um, and I'll say this about Sean. You and I, we've had guests on. You never know when you bring a guest on. They could be a complete and total loose cannon. You don't know. Um, I'll give people a platform, happily, until I find a reason to not give them a platform.
Yeah, I
And,
agree.
that's why in our ticker, which I don't know where our ticker went, let me go put that back in. In our ticker, I did add a thing that says, um, you know, we are, the opinions that you hear on this show are the opinions of, the guests and the hosts. It's their personal opinions. It's not an official endorsement or anything like that. So, you never know what you're going to have with a guest. And a good example is, Joe Rogan. He keeps having on these guys like, Graham, Hancock, who I don't believe a thing that guy says. I think he's an interesting guest. I think he talks about interesting stuff. And Rogan sees a spike every time he has them on because they tell all these fantastical stuff, but very little of it I think is actually rooted in science. They'll give you, a way of reading it to make it seem like it is, but when you actually start like looking into this stuff, you're like, oh yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Look, I want people to there is no way, there is absolutely no way that a guy who has a 20-year
Welcome, Georgie.
career. Yeah, welcome, Georgie. There's no way that a guy who has a 20-year career in the military, in the army, who has done multiple assignments as a special forces A-team operator,
Mhm.
by happenstance rents a Cybertruck from the same exact company that the dude in New Orleans rented his electric vehicle.
What do you want?
And are you Skipper's he's either chastising a family member or the dog.
It's a dog. Go lay down.
There's no way they both happen to rent electric vehicles from the exact same company at basically around the same time, and plotted their attacks individual or separate from, unbeknownst to the other one, for the same day,
Yep.
are targeting in different ways. In this gal that Sean Ryan had on a couple of months ago, and you guys can go look her up, said, she went through and she explained the difference between an ISIS style attack versus an Al Qaeda style attack. And an Al Qaeda style attack is going to be symbolic. They're going to go after symbolic targets. An ISIS attack is going to go after human targets. They want mass casualties. Al Qaeda will take mass casualties, but they want to go for symbolism.
Mm-hmm.
New Orleans is ISIS style. And sure enough, this guy happened to just have an ISIS flag furled up, not unfurled, furled up on the back of his truck. What that doesn't, like, if you guys know anything about ISIS and their that's not how they operate.
They want you to know.
They want you to see that thing coming for you.
Yep.
They want you to see that and know what's happening. But this guy just happens to have what appears to be an ISIS style flag, which, by the way, when they unfurled it, it was upside down. Like, this guy just happened to be radicalized in the recent past. He just happened to lose all of his money from real estate and ended up living in a hovel of a trailer in a trailer park predominantly filled with Somali Muslims in Houston, where he was radicalized there before he... Go ahead.
You saw the Texas journalist who was able just to walk right in and go through his whole place.
Right.
Like it's like, oh yeah, that's a setup too.
And then this active duty military guy is like, who's got all this expertise, just picks a symbolic target, and seconds before the explosion, he offs himself with a .50 caliber, like they're reporting, and then the vehicle blows up and incinerates the interior, does next to no damage to this. I'm supposed to believe that a special forces operator
can't make a V-bid.
Can't make an actual explosive device that's more than a fireworks and gasoline bomb, but it's bad enough that it completely incinerates him to the point where they had to, they couldn't get him off the seats, but his ID was intact.
Mm-hmm.
His ID was intact. I mean, if you don't see that, if you don't see through that, and you don't see that as a corollary to finding a Russian passport in the middle of the North Atlantic or the North Sea, when we blew up Nord Stream and then blamed Russia for blowing up their own pipeline, and justified it by saying they found a completely intact Russian passport just floating in the water right above the scene. Oh, and perfectly intact passports on September 11th, 2001. Perfectly intact. Couldn't find anything else. Couldn't even hardly find the flight recorders. Couldn't find the black boxes for, what was it, Skipper? I can't even remember back that far, but I think it was like weeks.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah,
it was weeks, but we found perfectly intact passports of the terrorists. Come on, people. And then I've got people coming at me. And if you're paying any attention, I really took after people for the whole fog conspiracy, by the way. Good God. But I got people coming at me, Trump supporters coming at me, saying I'm crazy if I think our own government would do this to us. And I'm crazy if I think that this will be used to to push Trump and Republicans into supporting legislation that's going to strip you of your freedoms. Folks, I know there's tons of you in the stream who watch. There's tons of fans, and so don't unsubscribe to Skipper's channel. Don't unsubscribe to, don't drop your memberships. Okay, this is me talking. You want to unsubscribe, go over to my channel and unsubscribe. Drop your membership if you're a membership there for what I'm about to say. But Trump is backed into a corner now. He has to respond. We
need a Tower Commission to go through our 3-letter agencies and highly go through and evaluate every single thing that they do, evaluate every single agent, make them have to justify their existence, because this is what they're doing. Like, the fact that the CIA operates on US soil should never ever happen.
Trump supporters, we must not be real Trump heads. Most of us trust nothing with the government. Georgie, but here's what I'm pointing at. This is not an accusation of anybody's intelligence. It's, if you talk to the normative Trump voter right now, and when I'm talking normative, I'm not talking about people who voted for him because they could not vote for Kamala. Like, I totally understand that. The vast majority of people who say they don't trust government, so they support Trump, are actually fully trusting of anything government does, as long as their people are in control of the government. I know it sounds like a really weird distinction, but it is a very important distinction. A very important distinction. The average person out there who is rabidly for Trump, the rabid Trump supporters, the ones who will not allow you to criticize him for anything, you cannot point out anything that he screwed up in 2020, especially like with COVID. You can't point out his terrible position on firearms. You can't point out his terrible position on bombing foreign countries, any of that. You cannot criticize him at all. Will not allow you to point out the fact that Trump came out, and I've already said this in the show today. You cannot point out that Trump immediately blamed foreign nationals who came across the border illegally after the attack in New Orleans. That was his statement. He looked like an absolute idiot. He looked like a moron because he made it about his agenda. And then he endorses Mike Johnson for speaker and tells all of his people in the House, you will support Johnson. And then they go after a guy like Thomas Massie. I mean, have you guys been paying attention to the attacks on Thomas Massie in the last 24 hours? Have you heard the things they've been saying about him? Since Wednesday. Just Wednesday. They're destroying Thomas Massie. Trump tried to run people against him. AIPAC spent over $600,000 in primaries to try and unseat Thomas Massie. But now Thomas Massie's the enemy because he wouldn't support Mike Johnson? Are you kidding me? Mike Johnson as speaker is the number one roadblock to any kind of government accountability on the part of the Republicans. And if somebody proposes any kind of legislation that will strip us of our liberties and our freedoms and put us under a surveillance state, Mike Johnson will push that legislation through. Folks, Republicans supported the Restrict Act. Remember that? They want to control social media. The Republicans, Trump voting, MAGA Republicans in Congress and in the Senate supported the Restrict Act. They wanted to take TikTok away from people for your own good. You don't think that Mike Johnson will support legislation like that? And if that legislation is put up and they point to January 1st of 2025 and say, "Look, Mr. President, your very property in Las Vegas was a target of radical extremism. We have to do something." Trump will sign that legislation, and he will tell his people this is for their own good. And it's, Skipper brought up, the Las Vegas attack, the Route 66 concert attack. Or is it Route 66 concert? Is that right?
I'm not sure.
It was Route something, or Route 52 or something like that. Trump Trump advocated for a bump stock ban because of that event. Go ahead, Skipper.
This is where you and I do diverge. I don't have necessarily a problem with what Trump did, and only because they were trying to ban AR-15s in the wake of that, like just ban them all. And he went the lesser route and said, no, I'm going to ban bump stocks, knowing it would be challenged in the court and overruled in the court. And it now has been overruled in the court. They've determined that
Right.
bump stocks are completely and totally legal. And now we're actually probably in this next term of the court, or in this current term of the court, it looks like we're going to get AR-15 bans in front of the Supreme Court. And hopefully then, once they say, yeah, you can't ban AR-15s, then all of this stuff will now become a non-issue.
No, I'm not. I understood.
So I understand what you're saying.
the chess. I understood the chess move.
Yeah.
But what I'm angling at is, if legislation is proposed or policies are proposed that appeal to Trump's base nature, which is Donald Trump is a narcissist, like him or not.
Oh, yeah.
Trump's a narcissist, like literally a clinical narcissist, a classic
narcissist.
clinical narcissist. Like literally, I think that's not me diagnosing him. It's like not me diagnosing him. It just is like, you want some narcissists in certain places. Like you don't want a cluster. You don't want a borderline personality person in the White House. You want the narcissist in the White House. That's what
95% of the people who run for president are narcissists.
Right, absolutely. And the other 5% are lying. So, but
I would say that there's some who are kind of reluctantly forced, and I would say Grover Cleveland and Eisenhower are examples of that.
Right. No dispute of that. But like, they will appeal to his base nature. And those of you that have ever run afoul of his rabid supporters will, if you're consistent philosophically, if you stand on your actual principles, they will tell you that you are not a patriot if you do not support X, Y, or Z, just because their people are in power.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the very definition of populist nationalism. Like, and what I've constantly and Skipper, you've heard me say this 1,000 times. The very thing that you support now because it's good for you will eventually be turned on you.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened with Patriot Act 1.0. And they are beating the war drums. Good morning, Mercedes. They are beating the war drums of that now. Mm-hmm. They want us all off kilter. They want us off balance. They want us afraid to go into public places. And they want people to a point where they will start begging to have their bread and circuses back. And just do whatever you need to do. We don't care. We don't care who's president. We don't care who's in Congress. We just do whatever you need to do to keep us safe so we can go back to our entertainment. And that's the reality of what we're looking at here. We're being set up from months ago to this gal coming on, and talking to Sean Ryan and telling Sean and warning him that there are 1,000 plus ISIS and Al Qaeda operatives in the United States waiting to be activated, to now yesterday 3 hours of Sean talking to this guy who had this information that there was this manifesto, which none of it makes any sense, coming and everybody jumping on board, even people I respect. I'm like literally people that I respect. I'm going, oh gosh, guys, how can you, like, seriously? You like you can tell the people who know a lot of things but don't know a lot of stuff. Like, it just
And there are people who are gonna then on the same side then go against Sean because of having these people on. But it's and that's where I come at. He's doing a show. He has to be entertaining. We
Mhm.
do a show. There are times where I will, like I've said before, I'll give Crazy a microphone 9 times out of 10, only because I know it's going to be a good show. It's going to be, good TV.
Yeah.
No, I've had crazier when I've been out and about and done man on the street stuff. Oh yeah, you can run into Crazy, and though you turn the camera on them, it will be entertaining.
I mean, I'm just gonna, that's the whole reason Skipper like initially wanted me on as his co-host was, I'm that crazy conspiracy guy. So
No, I've got crazier conspiracy people. First off, I wanted you on, one, because you're a veteran, two, because you're outspoken, and three, it's a different opinion than mine, and we diverge, and it's perfectly fine.
but what folks don't understand is I have swayed Skipper to the dark side.
I Even before I met you, as I get older, I get more libertarian. Uh, However, I don't think I'll ever be a full libertarian, simply because of I'm not an isolationist.
We'll get you there. Libertarians, we're not actually isolationists. We're anti-interventionist, and there's a big difference. We believe in interacting with the world. It's good to interact with the world. It's just not. It's me. I'm the problem. Yes. Well, Georgie asked a really good question, and I think you framed the question really well. What is with this rumor of the sleeper cell in Houston, Texas? And that's bingo right there. You
Yeah,
got four corners, bingo. It's what's with the rumor. On
that came
Wednesday,
from the FBI.
yeah,
That came from the FBI.
yeah, uh,
Now, you tell me, okay, the FBI will have 10 people, 10 people infiltrate a militia in Michigan and convince them that they need to kidnap Governor Gretchen, but yet only two guys were not FBI plants. They knew everything about that, but yet they don't know. Oh, there's a sleeper cell in Houston, but they can't tell us anything about it. It's like, no, you know.
yeah. Well, exactly. And let's springboard off of what you said about Michigan. Um, Not one of the people that ended up being charged in Michigan of the Wolverine Watchman was actually responsible for plotting any violence. Every single violent act that was plotted was actually plotted by either an actual FBI agent or a paid informant.
Yeah. In fact, one of the guys has beaten the charges based off of entrapment.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you guys haven't yet, I actually interviewed, her name's Christine, Radix Varum, a year and a half ago. She's doing the documentary. It's called Kidnap and Kill. Um, I she's the deep dive independent producer who has captured all of this stuff and has all the dirt on what actually happened in Michigan, and it lends credence to literally everything else that's going on right now. In Another really good source is a guy named Ken Silva, goes by JD Cashless on Twix. So look up Radix Verum and JD Cashless on Twix. I call it Twix, folks. Um, if you haven't, but Ken Silva has done so many deep dives into PatCon and like PatCon was FBI Intel State asset, exactly, an FBI Intel State movement to try and set up, not stop or prevent, but to set up militia types and patriot type groups for arrest. They planted the idea of violence.
Yeah.
And this goes back to the Oklahoma City bombing. Oklahoma City bombing was Operation PatCon through and through. It got out of hand. It was never supposed to happen. And what you were dealing with was CIA operatives and FBI operatives running into each other head on, and all of them losing control of their asset, who was never supposed to be able to pull off what he pulled off. And and I agree. Like, and I was telling people, Giorgio, affirmed this. I was telling people that like the drones are nothing. They're nothing. It was a look over here while we do something over there thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I pointed out, and Skipper, we talked about this with the drones. As soon as the drones started to disappear, then we started getting footage of Russian soldiers hiding from hunter-killer drones in Ukraine,
Mm-hmm.
showing what these drones can do. Those drones were put up ahead of time in the United States to scare the shit out of people, and then they released these hunter-killer drone videos of American-made, American-supported, American-paid-for hunter-killer drones being built by Israel and given to Ukrainian forces to hunt down individual soldiers and blow them up. And you release those videos immediately on the heels of the drones disappearing here in the US. What are American people going to do? We've already got people talking about, I see a drone around my house, I'm going to shoot that motherfucker down. Like, sure you are. And you're going to
You
go to
got me
jail.
thinking of Frisbee from Reno 911. Zach Galifianakis character where he's got an anti-aircraft gun in his yard.
But this is what I keep telling people over and over and over again. Like, do I believe there are bad actors in the world? Skipper, are there bad actors in the world? Like
100%.
individuals? Yeah. There are individual bad actors in the world. Absolutely. Like, not every mass shooting is a false flag in the sense of it didn't happen. Like, if you look at that place in Connecticut that shall go unnamed because we don't want to get Alex Jones. That was a real event, folks. That actually happened. People died. People died in Florida. The event that launched David Hogg into fame. Okay, the Pulse
He
nightclub
wasn't
shooting.
even there.
Right. The Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando happened, folks. It happened. The Las Vegas concert mass shooting happened. These things happened. People died. But these things did not happen strictly by bad actors. Now, Uvalde happened. he was a bad actor. Columbine happened. They were bad actors. But you have to lurk. You lurk. Don't lurk. We don't like lurkers. If you're lurking, we want you to comment. You must comment, or you are not allowed to watch. Um, these things do happen, but many of the things that happen um, are happening because they're being orchestrated by the people in power. And the consistent note that happens every time in the ones that are being orchestrated are, he was on our radar. We were aware of him. And I want you to pay attention to all of that. Every single time. The guy who tried to take Trump down. What did we find out about him afterwards? He was on our radar. And it's time that, I'm not talking about paranoia. I'm talking about the reality of digging into, AVA's mentioned this. I love AVA. I hope he's getting better. I am his baby daddy. You guys have got to realize that they've admitted to MKUltra. And when they admit to something to MKUltra, it's because they're hiding something else.
Mhm.
Oh yeah, MKUltra was real, but it's over now. Whenever you hear, we admit to this, but it's done now, you can rest assured it's probably not done, or it's worse than than what they're admitting to.
And that's a really interesting rabbit hole. If you want something to go down the MK Ultra rabbit hole, there is amazing stuff that they have admitted that works. That works.
I have a good friend. He goes by the Underclass Podcast. If you're interested, the Underclass Podcast. You can find him on any podcast player, but he is a phenomenal resource. He's very, very good at pulling in all of the resources that are out there. And that's not how this works. You pay me for being your baby daddy, ABA. Oh, yeah. I got pulled. The Wilburns, did anyone get pulled from class when still in school to be tested for the gifted program, the hearing tests? Absolutely.
My kindergarten teacher said I was gifted.
That's not what your kindergarten teacher said at all. At all. That's
She
not
said several times. Several times.
Tim, what about Trump's mad bomber trying to take out Trump's political enemies? Yeah, there are absolutely people out there that will do that. No doubt about it. No, yeah. I don't know the specific one you're talking about, but I do know of people out there who have talked about going and taking them down. And look at this crackpot that tried to kill Nancy Pelosi's husband. I mean, there are bad actors that are radicalized on both sides of the or on from both wings of the bird that's flying in the same direction, that will do anything they can to either side. And once again, Georgie nails it. But this is, and Skipper and I, we talk a lot about veterans issues, and the first thing that I said to Skipper on Wednesday was they're going to try and use this against us, and not Veteran Nation. Like, they have other things they have against us.
Oh no, I got a 3-star that's trying to get this show shut down.
Well, right, but you know what I mean. I mean the actual your 3-star has power, but he doesn't have that kind of power.
He's trying. He's
yeah.
It's more an intimidation tactic.
Yeah.
What it'll be fun when I can finally show everything because they actually put into writing that the government's mission
Is more important. Yeah.
outweighs my freedom of expression. They literally put that into writing, and I'm like, have you read any Supreme Court First Amendment ruling in the last 100 years? Any, pick one, pick one.
Yeah. Well, which is exactly, when they came after me for my show, for what I did,
Hmm.
their argument was that my content impeded my ability to be a reliable uh, witness on the stand if it ever came to that in the course of my work, and therefore I had to be, I either had to shut my stuff down or be terminated. And like they were talking about Brady listing me and Giglio Brady Giglio me if I were to keep my job, and my attorney was like, for what? He hasn't falsified anything.
Hmm.
When it comes to like his work, he's not. It's nothing that he's done is illegal. So
Oh, you'll like when I finally, and it'll be, I don't want to expose too much of myself right now, but they put this stuff in writing, and they even said that what I talk about on my show, while true, they don't believe serve the public interest.
isn't that ironic? The truth does not serve the
Yeah,
public
yeah.
interest. Uh, and that's
And people have the stories that I've done. People have died. Like
right.
that's what they're about. People who
Yeah,
have died
and that's
because of
just
the military.
right, and that's just on the base that you work on.
Yeah.
That doesn't count all the other stories that we've told. We had Heather on here, and also over on my show we had Heather on to
Yep.
talk about her son at Fort Bragg, and I refuse to call it Fort Liberty, by the way. You can get bent.
No, I
Um,
call it Fort Liberty when there's a terrorist attack tied to it. I call it Fort Bragg with everything else.
oh, isn't that funny? Put that up there, the Wilburns. How come Biden could barely put together a single sentence um, in the last 4 years? Do you guys, Georgie? Do you remember what I said that night? Um, that Biden could barely put together a single sentence in the last 4 years, but his speech on the Vegas bombing, he spoke perfectly.
Mhm.
I told you guys he was going to nail it. Oh, because it fits their agenda.
And here's the other thing I'll let you guys, I'll pull back the curtain a little bit. You guys all know I have my own business, and you all know it's federal contracting. Me and TC talk about this stuff all the time of what they do.
Hmm.
What am I trying to do? I'm going to profit off their bad behavior.
Yep.
100%, that's what I'm doing. You don't think I'm looking at Ukraine knowing that this war is probably going to end in the next year, and what's the US State Department going to do? It's going to rebuild. Where do you think that money's coming from?
Um, I used to be younger. Good morning, Skipper and TC. I'm not lurking. I'm just listening to hear all you have to say. I must say it's all very interesting that I have not thought of. Um, Biden missed his IT appointment and didn't get the new operating system. um, look, this this is where I run afoul of a lot of people. Look, they're all playing a game, or not a game. They're all playing a role, folks. Every single person in from in pretty much every presidential administration and all of the bureaucrats, they're all playing roles. Trump is playing a role. Biden is playing a role. Harris played a role. Um, Georgie said earlier that, Harris was forced on people and that's why she lost. No, Harris was forced on to people to lose. And it's a very fine distinction, but and she knew she was going to lose. That's why she didn't really put any effort into it. Do you guys notice that there's just no effort? She actually, in reality, actually put less effort into campaigning than Biden did in 2020. She really did.
Uh, she was given $1 billion and ended up in debt.
Right? Yeah, right. That sounds. I could pull that off. I would like to try. Somebody give me $1 billion to see if I can end up in debt.
Now she's gonna run for governor of California, and the thing is, I'll straight up tell you, she will win
She will
in
win.
California.
And here's why she's going to run, because Gavin Newsom's going to be the next presidential nominee
Mhm.
for the Democrats. And that's why Harris had to go. That's why they forced her on people, so she would lose and disappear from the current political stage. They don't care if she's active politically in California. She can't.
Can't screw up California any much more.
Yeah, she can't screw it up any more than it's already screwed up. And
Now I'm a Republican, okay, and I'm very open about that. But if you start watching, we have a census coming up, and with that next census, there's going to be redistricting, and there's going to be a shift of electoral college votes. I hope you all realize, as long as Republicans hold the red wall, and I'm talking Arizona and Georgia are in that, is if they take all the just your solid Republican states, they don't have to win any swing states to win the presidency.
that's right.
Like, and I do find that scary as a Republican, because what type of candidates are we going to get?
Well, so here's when I say that they're all playing a role. Like, Donald Trump is a lame duck president, folks. He has absolutely 4 years to accomplish nothing. It does not matter what he does for the next 4 years. If he couldn't accomplish his goal from 2016 to 2020, he's not going to accomplish his goal from 2025 or from 2024 to 2028. That's not a slam on him. That's not me saying he's incompetent. Elon Musk cannot be president, by the way. It's me saying that this is the nature of every lame duck presidency. Every lame duck presidency. He's going to come in. He's going to make some really radical, out of the box appointments. One of them being Kash Patel. Kash Patel is going to come in. He's going to shake some shit up, but he's ultimately not going to make any actual changes to the FBI because he doesn't have enough time. He's not going to get very far with RFK Jr. RFK Jr. just isn't going to have enough pull to shake things up enough. Jay Bhattacharya might actually be able to really make some effective changes in the National Institute of Health. But we have Sebastian Gorka, who is a radical war hawk that's advising Trump. So that's a bad move. But Tulsi Gabbard is a phenomenal pick for what's the terminology? National Intelligence, NIA, is it? And
Yeah. NIA.
She's the head of the NIA. Tulsi's phenomenal in there. Phenomenal pick in there. Doge is going to accomplish nothing. It can't, folks. It can't. Doge cannot accomplish anything, and you don't want it to accomplish anything. Doge needs to be toothless, because if Doge can be implemented under Trump and set up to do what Trump wants it to do, then the next administration can come in and use Doge to do what it wants Doge to do.
Just like the Consumer Protection Board. You saw that
Exactly.
immediately with them.
Yeah. Folks, this is what I've been trying to say, is like all of these things that everybody's so fully on board with, Trump doing, like, you don't want them to be successful. You don't want them to be successful because it's going to end up biting us all in the ass down the road. And that's why I'm talking so much about everything that's happened since Wednesday. They're coming for you. They're coming for each and every one of us.
a lot of Republicans get mad at me because I don't support term limits. And they're like, how can you not support term limits? And I'm like, because I've lived in 2 states that had term limits. Did it solve the problem?
Mm,
No, it made it worse.
worse. Yep.
Ohio is stuck with Governor DeWine because of term limits. California is stuck with Gavin Newsom because of term limits. You realize Newsom is Pelosi's nephew. When you put in term limits, you're giving them a scheme that they can then behind the scenes start manipulating. You don't think that, hey, I'm out of this position. If I run for this and you run for this, we'll work together. Those are the type of deals term limits create.
Yeah, and exactly. And that's what Wednesday has accomplished for me, and I think for people who are willing to step away from their personally approved political pundits and candidates, and are willing to look at the actual um, reality that we're faced with. Everything is being orchestrated, and we are not in an open sandbox uh, multiplayer universe here. Okay, like we're not. We are not. We are in very much a controlled and scripted political game where all of the big power players are playing a role. Um, and that role is to placate you, no matter what your political ideology might be, especially if you're Republican or Democrat, MAGA or not MAGA, you know, MAGA Republican. That you they are doing these things to co-opt a movement, to give people a taste of what they say they want for a short period of time, so that ultimately what it comes down to is they can absorb you and you can feel satisfied that you got your candidate in office. Now go back to being the good little slavish wage slaves that you are, because we gave you
Mhm.
what you wanted for a while. And mega is just reheated Tea Party. That's all it is. It's just a reheated Tea Party. And look at what happened to the Tea Party. It got absorbed. It got co-opted. And as soon as this administration is complete, mega's done. There will be no other supposed mega candidates. And it's a dead movement. And we're all better off if we look at it and admit that now, and start looking to make changes where they belong, which is at the local level, because that's the only way we're going to fight what's coming for us. That's the only way that we can fight what's coming for us. It's to get liberty-minded individuals on your city councils and in your mayor seats in control of the police departments,
That should
finding
absolutely be
sheriffs.
your goal.
Yep.
Absolutely.
It's the only way that we fight any of this, is finding, police chiefs that will honor their oaths, mayors that will hold, and councils that will hold police chiefs accountable, that they themselves will not take federal dollars to implement the garbage that they want, the surveillance that they want, to tell the federal government to kick rocks, to pound sand, get bent. Same thing with your county boards. Same thing with your state legislators. That's what matters the most. Stop worrying about who's in the fucking presidency. Stop worrying about what Trump can and can't do. Stop worrying about whether or not Trump, as we started with, is going to do anything about your gas prices, that Trump's going to do anything about your grocery prices, that he's going to, you don't want him to have that power.
Look at all the stuff that Trump has had to deal with lawfare. That is local prosecutors. Most of it. Most of it is local prosecutors. Now, if they can do it to Trump, can they do it to you?
Oh, they absolutely will do it to you.
Yeah.
And that's why they want us focused on this. That's why they want us looking up at this imperialistic empire building presidency. That's what they want. Because they're all about furthering the empire. They really are.
Yeah.
And that's, when Skipper said, well, I'm not an isolationist. Like, that's the thing, is like, I'm not an isolationist. I'm just an anti-interventionist. I don't think we should be isolationists. I think we should be interacting with the world. Absolutely should be interacting with the world. But we shouldn't be doing it through military interventionism. We shouldn't be doing it through expanding democracy at the point of a gun in countries that were never going to be democracies and never can be democracies, because their people just aren't capable of living that way. And by the way, democracy is evil. Like, you don't want any of that. And that's what this is all about. All of this is about controlling you. Every single bit of it. Trumpism, Trumpist populism, Christian nationalism, all of these things, it's all about appealing to you in a place, and it's the same with the left. It's about appealing to you in a place that you identify with, to get you to support whatever it is that they want, so that you feel like you're accomplishing something, so you're not making a change, not making a difference where it matters, and that's at the local level, which is why Skipper does what he does, why we talk about Veterans Affairs issues, because these are things that are happening at local levels. And then all the big shit, like January 1st, 2025, is all meant to distract, dissuade, confuse, cause fear, and control. Please
And
protect.
I've been dealing with veterans here. They're like, how can you support Trump? He's gonna cut veteran benefits, and I'm like, no, no, no. Show me what benefit is he cutting? Because the benefits that are being cut were already cut. For instance, the PACT Act. The PACT Act got passed. Guess what? If you apply for the PACT Act now, you're going to get less money than when I applied for it 4 years ago, because they've already made those cuts. Now, do I think the VA needs to be cut? Absolutely. The VA should not have hospitals. Why do we have a Health and Human Services? Sell those hospitals to HHS.
Or better yet, disband them all. Disband them all and just give the money to the people that need it, like the veterans. That would be great. Like,
Well,
that's always my answer.
you could sell them. You could sell them to insurance companies, health insurance companies. They make most of their money owning the hospital. It's not on your premiums. It's owning the hospital. And that was my problem with Obamacare, is because, okay, you're saying you're going to do all this to revamp the system, but you're not looking where they actually the highest insurance is what insurers charge their own doctors, and those doctors work at their hospitals.
Yep. And that, and we're always good at bringing it full circle, and probably need to end it here in a couple of minutes. But that's the reality of what this has all been about. Everything from, like, I'm not telling you guys not to get involved in voting. Like, I'm not one of those that
Get
says
more involved in your local level than anything.
I'm not one of those. I'm anarcho-capitalist, but I'm an anarcho-capitalist who does take part in the voting process, because I do want to have control of my local government. Oh yeah, and by the way, support AVA's channel. By the way, absolutely, you need to
Absolutely.
go
Go
over there.
watch one of his videos. He needs a little watch time so he can get monetized.
Absolutely, we need to
just watch one of his videos. That's all you gotta do.
And so I'm not telling people not to be involved. What I'm saying is that you need to flip your priorities. And the more that people catch on to that, the harder they're going to fight against you. The harder they're going to fight against us as individuals. When you're thinking as an individualist, as a volunteerist, they're gonna fight against that, and they're gonna come up with ways to try and control you. And January 1st, 2025 was an attempt at control. It is an attempt at control. They're not done, folks. There's going to be more. You need to be prepared. There is going to be more. They have to, because they're losing in grip. And both sides of the aisle are terrified of losing losing control of you. Both. Whether it's mega Republicans or standard normicon Republicans, or it's the center left or the far left of the Democrats. They're terrified of losing control of you, and they're all going to work together to keep control of you. Absolutely. And that goes for people in other countries, UK, Australia, Germany. That it's everywhere. So, um, do not believe anything that they tell you about what's going on since Wednesday, because it's all being set up um, to control you or distract you. And don't cave into the fear. Do not date. Like, I know it's easy for me to say because we don't know where the next one's going to come from, and none of us want anybody. I don't want Skipper, any of my other friends, or anybody I don't know to be caught up in the next attempt. But don't get caught up in the fear, because that's how they will ultimately end up controlling you and taking your eye off the ball. So those are my thoughts. Happy New Year.
If you do this, it helps with the watch time. If you're so inclined.
Yes, absolutely.
And
And
I
then
do want to publicly congratulate Georgie on
yes,
she's applied for monetization. Congratulations on the 500 followers.
yes, congrats. You guys all made that happen. Well, most of you Hales people made that happen, but that's a Skipper and all the other Hales people got Georgie to 500. No, but I did nothing for that. So
It's not all hails because
I
some of these people
I'm
have been brought to
teasing.
it by
I'm,
Squid.
I'm
Uh,
teasing. I'm teasing.
I was a little bit upset. Before we leave, I do want to talk about one thing. I was a little bit upset yesterday because had I
It was just reading you and saying, "Oh, he's upset, so let's upset him." Oh, I'm killing time.
there
Waiting
we
for
go.
Skipper.
Can you see me yet?
Here
There we go.
there he is. You were a little upset.
I was a little upset because yesterday, had I known this was happening here, I would have drove down because it's only like an hour from where I'm at. But about 5 years ago, there was the Ohio massacre where like 8 members of a family were all killed, and I've been watching that case over the years, and I did not know there was sentencing yesterday, and down in Pike County, Ohio, and yeah, they finally sentenced 3 of the family members involved in the killings. One of them was only helping with the cover up. But I would have gone down for that had I known it was happening. And I haven't really done any updates on the case. So there's one more trial coming. So yeah, I was a little bit upset that I missed that. So
Wise Angel's worried about you. She says you look a little peaked. He's got a cold coming on, folks. I asked him the same thing.
runny nose. That's what I got.
No, Paul, I am not doing a polar plunge. I am not stupid. I am Scandinavian by nature. You do not believe the hype that the Scandinavians were into getting naked and jumping into ice cold water. That's not what they did. The closest they got was saunas. They created the saunas. Scandinavians created the saunas, and then they would go and jump into a snowbank um, because it was good for the skin. But there was no polar plunging. That's a gimmick, and the people in Minnesota who take part in it deserve to die slow, painful deaths. So, and then we laugh at the people who are in like Florida in February doing polar plunges. Hey, we're here in the Gulf Coast of Florida doing our polar plunge.
I remember that Cheers episode where the one guy's like, "Oh, on Christmas Day, my dad and all of his friends they would run screaming polar bear, and they'd run and jump into the ocean." And all the guys are like, "Yeah, let's do it, polar bear!" And they all go out, and then Rhea Perlman's character goes, "Where did you grow up?" After they all left, and he's like, "Honolulu, Hawaii."
Georgie says she wants me to get naked and stream. I'm
I didn't
interpreting
even
her. I'm interpreting her comment that way.
I
So
didn't even get naked. I just got into the hot tub on Squid's live.
no, I'm not taking my shirt off on a stream, and not. No, I'm not. That's not who I am. Um, Literally, they would demonetize me for doing that. Just even taking my shirt off, they would just They'd be like, "Yeah, you are permanently demonetized." I'd probably owe them money, but yeah, folks, I wanted our first. I would have loved for our first show of the year to be different, but it's what it is. It's what we do. And I look, I'm just like, I'm a little melancholy because I like, we have 90 some people. We had 100 and some at one point. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing wrong with my channel. I'm fuck all if I know what's going on. Like I can more people tune into my chickens. Um, I I could do something. I could do something with like actual content. Nobody watches. Nobody watches. I come on here and chat. We don't even talk about like your guys' favorite topic of late, and get 800,000 more views. My channel's it's so worthless anymore. I don't even know what it's for.
It
I give up. I give.
Some of the things that they do with promoting and whatnot just get weird. I just keep doing my stuff, and I'm like, when I find something that catches fire, I just kind of stick with it.
Yeah, I know it works for you, but I don't even know why. I'm just like I think my channel is just going to be nothing but chickens from now on. I guess I don't know. I don't. I don't know. I'm done. I'm done.
We can go ahead and end this.
Yeah, you guys
We're
have
at
a
a
good
natural.
weekend.
We're out of stuff to talk
Yeah,
about.
I'm just I'm very thankful that so many people tune in.
Everyone, when we end this, go over to Minnesota Black Robe Regiment and watch the
No, go over to
Freedom Flock.
AVA. Go over to AVA.
Well, and definitely watch AVA's
I
videos
would
too.
much
We want to
rather.
get
I would
him.
much. No. I'd go spend your time on AVA stuff. It's far more important. So, if you need to decompress, go watch my chickens.
The chicken's going to be all day.
Yeah, they're in landscape mode with the door shut because it is currently only 7 degrees today, so they might get some outdoor rec time. When I get back, I got to go run some errands, but go watch AVA. It's far more important. He needs the hours, so you guys have a great one.
So we'll go ahead and we'll wrap this up. As always, thank you to my co-host TC. Definitely love what you're doing, brother. Love the chicken streams. And everyone, as you every day get a chance, go watch a couple minutes of the chicken streams. It will calm you down.
It does, yeah.
Definitely go on to AVA's channel, watch a couple of his videos. Just we're gonna help him get monetized, and we're all about helping people here. So if you need help with something, feel free to reach out to me. I do have phone number, email, our X accounts down below, so feel free to reach out. Yeah, we've got our Facebook group, as you can see right there. So reach out to us.
And I am now on TikTok.
Oh, okay. I'll start sending you our Veteran Nation videos to put out on TikTok, so you got content.
Yeah. MBRR Media and Freedom Flock.
There you go, folks. Thank you again for joining us, and as usual, thank you for being worth serving.